Hi scholars, let's talk about using Google's Gemini for our academic writing.
We will use Gemini, Google's large language module, to assist with our writing in this class. You might ask why. Well, these artificial intelligence tools are here to stay, so you should learn to use them. You're going to use them in your job, I guarantee it. And AI will change the way we work. And a new work career is why most of you are in college. So, learning how AI fits. AI can do things you and I can't. It can read and understand the impossibly large amount of data on the net and then present that data in natural language that we can understand. By the way, Gemini also generated most of the images that you'll see in this presentation, such as these two here. That's very powerful. You access Gemini through your web browser, preferably Google Chrome, and sign in with your Google account at gemini.google.com/app. APP. Like most large language modules, Gemini uses a prompt response method for interacting with humans. On the Gemini page, you'll see that you enter a prompt and then Gemini tries to create a suitable response. For instance, you could prompt Gemini for a recipe for 4 people using broccoli, rutabaga, and some anchovies that you have left over in your shelves. And Gemini will search its vast database for such a recipe. If it finds one, it presents it to you. If it can't find one, it will make one up, or it may tell you that it just can't do it. At any rate, you'll get a response that you can use. Now, one caveat, you must be careful with Gemini's responses, as all LLMs suffer from what's called hallucinations. Gemini may return made up facts. They will look real, but they aren't. Think of Gemini as a very fast, very powerful assistant who really wants to please you. If Gemini can't find what you've asked for, then it will make it up. You'll think it's real information, but it isn't. So you must always be suspicious of anything that Gemini tells you. Now, we first use Gemini in our Doc 1 to clarify the academic issue that we're writing about. I could, for instance, ask Gemini to help me identify the most common academic issues among first-year college students. This would be very useful, especially if I don't know what academic issue I want to write about. In under 20 seconds, Gemini generated 15 different academic issues in 3 different categories for me. If I can't find an issue to focus on from this list, then I'm really not trying. And guys, it came back, like I said, in under 20 seconds. This is extremely powerful. The key to using any LLM, including Gemini, is writing effective prompts. The more context that you can provide Gemini, the higher quality information it can return to you. Less context tends to return poorer responses. Let's say I choose to write about test anxiety. Then I could prompt Gemini with this bare prompt. Clarify the problem with test anxiety among college students. This prompt broadly identifies the academic issue that I'm addressing, test anxiety, but it gives Gemini no context. It doesn't tell Gemini who is talking to whom using what kind of text. Gemini needs to know that, just as all of your readers need to know. So instead, I could provide Gemini with a better prompt, something like this. You are a counselor for non-traditional college students. Clarify the problem with test anxiety, especially among older students returning to college. List strategies for a guide that might help older students deal with test anxiety. You should generate 1,200 words. Now, notice all of the context that I'm giving Gemini that helps it return a really superior response. I'm telling it I want to deal with non-traditional college students. Why? Because that's my reader. That's who I'm going to write to. And I've given it the topic, test anxiety. But test anxiety for older students returning to college. And I want it to list strategies. And what kind of document am I going to be producing? A guide that might help older students deal with test anxiety. And then I'm giving it a ballpark 1,200 words to generate. By golly, it did it. Its response, with headings no less. Test anxiety, a challenge for older returning students. Common concern among college students. Well, you can see it here. It's really a sophisticated response, and it's very close to what I want. And notice that while your Doc 1 is only 800 words long, I tend to ask Gemini for more words than I need. Why? Well, because I can eliminate stuff that I don't think is so good or that I think doesn't quite fit what I'm trying to do. You should do the same. Ask Gemini for lots of stuff. Guys, it can generate tons of stuff in under 60 seconds. So, not like you're wasting time. Get all the stuff you can, and then you can weed out the stuff you don't need. Now that Gemini knows the context, it can better help me, in this case, generate the kind of material that I need to write the guide that I want for the people that I intend to help. That's powerful. You should tweak your prompt, adding and removing information until Gemini gives you a best response. And once you've got what you want, I want you to copy your prompt and Gemini's response and paste it in your Doc 1 just after the title and before the assignment, as I've done here in my sample paper. Well, that's our introduction to Gemini. I hope it helps you get started with it. And I'll see you guys on the net.